people, welcome to my review for Pete's Dragon. Better late than never, right? Like, better late than never. Okay, I get it. This is a very, very old review. This should have came out about 3 weeks ago, but I finally saw it, so I will finally be getting this review out. So, Pete's Dragon follows the premise of a young boy who gets lost in the woods and befriends a dragon named Elliot. So it's about Pete and Elliot and how they live in the forest. And then suddenly Bryce Dallas Howard's character, who has known about the forest her entire life and has heard stories about the dragon because of her father, played by Robert Redford. So Bryce Dallas Howard's character goes into the woods and finds Pete. So then she takes Pete in and tries to figure out who Elliot is and tries to figure all this stuff out simply because she was very, very curious about if this dragon actually existed or not, or if it was just one of her dad's stories. So I was very, very excited to see this movie, surprisingly. I thought all the trailers looked really good. The remake of, it's a remake, the original Pete's Dragon coming out in 1977, which I have never seen. I have no plans to, because I think it looks pretty bad. I know it has good reviews, but I've seen some videos, seen some trailers, it looks terrible. So I never planned to see that one, so I basically went in with a fresh mind on the Pete's Dragon lore. And I could say I was very disappointed with this movie. I did not like this movie at all. I thought that this was a very bad movie. It had some absolutely awful, awful CGI. I mean, wow. It was so obvious it was CGI. It stuck out like a sore thumb. It was so hard to see on screen. It isn't the worst CGI I've ever seen, but it was very, very bad, especially on the animals other than Pete. It looks terrible, and sometimes with, Pete, sometimes I sort of felt like some of the shots were just sort of lazily done. They were just done last second and didn't have any thought put into them. So that was a huge issue with me, and I understand they were going lower budget with this movie, but you can still make animals look great even if you have a lower budget. And, Jungle Book, I know that had a much higher budget, but still, that looked so great. All the animals look so realistic, and this one just pales in comparison. And it's very much a child's movie. It's very unrealistic, it's very sappy, and it's very sentimental, and it's very, very unsubtle. There are some things in this movie, like, they jam down your throat so many things. Like, the main themes of the movie about forgiveness and just letting go and all that, moving on, is shoved down your throat to an insane degree. And the fact that, Elliot is a dog is also shoved down your throat. They literally have him walking around in a circle after his own tail. There is a more subtle way to show that he is a dog character. It's a paper-thin plot, and it's not executed well at all. I think that movies are okay having paper-thin plots. You don't need a huge, heavy plot to make a great movie. 12 Angry Men, very simple premise. It's just 12 people sitting in a room talking over a court case. But it's riveting, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love 12 Angry Men, and it really shows how you don't need to leave a room. You can have a super simple, basic, non-complex plot, but still make an amazing movie as long as there's conflict. In this movie, it has conflict, but it feels so weak, and they really bogged the whole film down. And there's characters that try to attack the dragon and then get super scared when they actually see it. So then they drive off because they're so scared, and then like a couple scenes next, they are suddenly, back trying to attack the dragon, trying to kill him, or at least, put him down to rest or something. I have no clue why they would do that. They were scared out of their life. Again, with the unrealistic parts of this movie, it's abundant how many there are. And there are so many cliche shots, like the shot of a character standing, something going by, and then that character is gone when the thing is gone. That's in this movie. A ton of cliche shots are filled throughout, and the song and music choice was terrible. They choose random songs, and I understand that they're kind of trying to go with like a country feel, but it felt so off to the movie, and it didn't really work well at all. It's a very, very long movie, and overall, I just did not like Pete's Dragon. Okay, I have another bad thing I want to talk about, but that's going to come at the spoiler section at the end. But for now, I will say my two good things about this movie. One, they are able to make a the idea of the dragon is very grounded in real life, you know, obviously because they're living in a town and then boom, there's a dragon. And we've never seen a dragon before, so it's a wild premise. It's technically a fantasy premise, but they don't really make it seem like fantasy. They make it seem more real, which I liked. And also, the acting from everyone is mostly good. There are times where it's very weak. Also, from this one main girl in the movie, she was a very, very weak actor. But besides that, everyone else does a pretty good job. So, overall, Pete's Dragon, very big disappointment. Had some good acting, but very cheesy, very sappy. Kids will enjoy it. I can for sure say that. Kids absolutely will love this movie. And if I were much younger, if I were 5 or 6, I would definitely have loved this movie. But I am older and I have a more sophisticated mind now, and that is why Pete's Dragon gets a 3.5 out of 10. You can make great kids' movies that are still very mature. Inside Out. That is a very much a kids movie, but it's also very mature and deals with lots and lots of things. Same thing with WALL-E. Same thing with Up. Those are children's movies that deal with a lot. Same thing with Spirited Away. There are countless. There are so many films that are mature because they understand. Oh, animated films or children's films aren't made for just children anymore. Yet there are films like this that still just make films for children, and that is a big issue with me, and that's a huge pet peeve for me. So as I said, Pete's Dragon is a 3.5 out of 10. Big disappointment. I'd say see it if you're a kid. If you're not, you'll dislike it. Okay, now I'm going to talk spoilers about the movie. So if you have not seen Pete's Dragon and you want to, then just skip this section. In the final minute of Pete's Dragon, they go and visit Elliot. I don't know how, because Elliot is hidden and can't be seen. How do they know where to see Elliot? Okay, that's not my big issue with the ending. They finally find Elliot, and then suddenly a family of dragons appears, and suddenly there's 4 other dragons flying with Pete, trying to give that family feel. Okay, 1, that's insanely unrealistic. We've never seen a dragon before, and then suddenly there's 5. I can take 1 because it's hiding, but 5? No, I'm sorry. That's not possible. And just the fact that it has to be so cheesy and sappy to be like, oh, we don't want kids going out crying because, Pete didn't, because Pete sort of gave up on Elliot, even though he was just moving on. So, boom, Elliot is super happy and has a family. And I just had a huge issue with that. Again, my score for Pete's Dragon, 3.5 out of 10. And if you've seen it, I probably think that you also had a huge issue with the ending like I did, because I can't see how anyone didn't. Alright, that concludes my review. I am Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.